Hello, hello. I'm here with Daniela Bolzman, the queen of creative on Amazon, as many have said. She is the owner of Mindful Goods, right? I've said it well. And she
Mhm.
specializes on Amazon designs, creative, A plus content, premium, pretty much everything when it comes to Amazon's design part. She's one of the people that I've seen on LinkedIn and on social media that explains creative and how important creative is on Amazon. Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much for
having
being here.
me.
Of course, of course.
Good to be here. By the way, for anybody watching this, we have tried to record this like 3 times now. So we're here. We made it happen. We're doing this. So we're gonna bring it. We're
Yeah.
gonna bring it.
Yeah, it's been challenging. So I really wanted to get you on because I think one of the most underrated parts on Amazon and e-commerce in general is the creative. Amazon, a lot of brands are thinking that PPC is everything. If you have the right PPC strategy, you're always going to win. I disagree with that, and I know from what I've seen from the data, if your listing is not where it should be, if your creative is not where it should be, you'll be spending a lot more money on ads. And you've seen this extremely well because that's where you specialize in.
100%. 100%. I think that's probably the plague of the industry right now is the conversation is so dominated by advertising dollars. It's like you need to push more traffic. But what happens when you push that narrative is you have brands that are overspending on their advertising campaigns and they're not fixing the real problem, which in many cases is the conversion. So we've had this with 7-figure brands, 8-figure brands, 9-figure brands across the board, brands that are hitting plateaus and they're realizing when they're taking a deeper look under the hood that their content has fallen stagnant, their SEO hasn't been optimized. I mean, we've had 7-figure brands that are on the rise. Notice this in their category, notice that everyone else around them is elevating their content and they're falling behind. We've also noticed this and that was a CPG client. We also noticed the same exact thing with an 8-figure brand that's been selling over 20 years on Amazon. And they came to the same conclusion that their content had fallen stagnant, their catalog wasn't organized and was just falling out of place, out of sync, and they needed consistency across the board. And by doing a refresh to their catalog with that brand specifically, we saw a 750% increase in growth. So
And that's the point I wanted to make is when you speak with someone, you talk about creative, they say, yeah, but how much can it improve? An insane amount. It's very difficult to calculate because it improves absolutely everything when it comes to ads. And if it does well in the first month, it will do better in the fifth because of the compound interest of it. And of course, it's not like you're going to optimize your listing in creative once. Like you're not going to do it once and then forget forever. You have to do it quite often. For SEO, it's more often. For creative, it really depends on the market, on A/B testing. But I do believe it's really, really undervalued how much it can make of a difference. And the brands that I'm seeing winning the most right now are the brands that are doing exactly that. And I know the argument. A lot of the bigger brands like Apple and other brands, they're not really optimized, but also those are brands that have poured billions in marketing and have been in the space for a long time. So you can't compare yourself with that. Now, I also
right.
believe that if those brands are optimized in an amazing way, they'll do even better than they are.
100%. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
What would you say is the biggest lever when it comes to creative? Is it the main image? Is it the A plus content? What have you seen being the biggest lever?
That is a great question. So we publish our findings on our website. We have a metrics tab that we try to update quarterly. Right now, we do about usually at least like 250 split tests per year that are between. We have 3 sections that we split test. It's going to be title and bullets, so SEO copy, main images, which is obviously going to really improve your click through rate, and then your content within your listings, which can be your product image stack and your A plus content. Those can also be tested separately. And what we're seeing generate the best performance overall is going to be A plus content. You can see up to 1,000% increase in your sales just by focusing on A plus content alone. But the where you get the most benefit is by doing everything together. All of those elements that I mentioned, you can generate up to 2,500% increase in sales. The most difficult thing to do well is going to be your A plus content. So I think it's the heaviest lift and the hardest thing for brands to do. So where I think most brands should start is with title testing. You can see up to 600% increase in growth. Then you should move on to your main image testing, which you won't see as much of an increase in growth in sales, but you'll be able to improve your click-through rate, meaning get more people into your listing. But on average, when we're just focused on main image, I would say you can expect up to 150% increase in sales growth just by focusing on your main image. But that's not counting your click-through rate improvement, which is the main metric that you want to be tracking there, not necessarily sales growth. So that is a low-hanging fruit. So you really got to figure out what part of the funnel are you trying to fix? What's
Yeah.
broken? Is it sessions coming in that's broken and like a high bounce rate, so low dwell time? Or is it low conversions overall? Like, what is the problem that we're trying to solve for? Ideally, you want to solve for the full funnel. You want to solve for the SEO content so you get found. Then you want to solve for your main image so you're getting clicks into your listing. And then you want to solve for the content inside your listing, which is going to create the conversions.
That is a great point. And I do believe you should be focusing exactly that way, the full funnel, because most people forget that is the full funnel. Okay, you got them to the listing, but why are they not converting? Why are they adding the basket and not converting? Because many times you see that someone has a high click-through rate, but they're not converting as much as they should. And when an average in your category, they're converting 20% and you're at 10, 12, 13, there's something wrong. And if you don't figure that, it's going to cost you a lot of money. And especially now, Amazon giving so much data. Like most people don't realize Amazon gives a lot more data than almost every other platform. Like TikTok Shop doesn't give that amount of data. Even Shopify doesn't give that amount of data for a lot of these things. So we can actually leverage, especially now with SQP reports, brand
Yeah,
analytics. I mean, we have so much data we can, and it's data from Amazon. It's not Helium 10, it's not data
right.
dive, it's actual Amazon data, which is the most accurate.
I love that you're talking about this because I would say that's one of the things we see most commonly, that most brands have not dug into the data. And they don't realize that Amazon gives you so many data because all of these reports are in different places,
Yeah.
right? And then I found one the other day that I haven't been using, and it was what was it, the category need or the niche report, but it was really cool. It shows you you search the ASIN, and then it gives you the top needs for those items related to that product, and then the top three keywords related to those needs that the customer has. So if you take those needs that you know are the top needs in the category for your niche, and then you build around those keywords that are associated with those needs, assuming that your problem solves that need,
Yeah.
then that's how you build your content. You know, so it's like taking all of that data, mining all of that data before you even get started with this process is so key. That's the part that's missing in a lot of other like creative agencies or even full service Amazon teams, is they're not pulling all of this data and putting together a holistic strategy to create that creative. They're just basically saying like, let's take the images that the client has, let's make some adjustments and let's throw it up there. That's not going to move the needle. That's going to only get you so far. You know, but if you can figure out what are the top converting keywords that you're already spending money on, what are the keywords that Amazon is telling you through your SQP reports are most important for your specific product, what is that niche data that I just told you about? And then if you pull data dive data on top of that and you stack all of that information and do, let's say, like a Voke AI analysis where you can actually see in your category what are like the buying behaviors that are happening throughout your entire category, that's where you become unstoppable. It's like stacking all of this data that you've mined and you've curated into one place to really understand at a much deeper level, at a data-driven level, who your avatar is. A lot of times what brands are doing, or what branding agencies or other brands are doing, is they're basically saying like, let's put all this fluffy information that's not data numbers that Amazon's giving you. Let's put what we know about our customer into ChatGPT and let's create an avatar. The avatar is BS because it's not based on your data, and Amazon is giving you your data.
I agree, and I think the issue with most agencies, for example, full service Amazon agency, usually tend to have someone who understands okay or well enough PPC, but the creative is kind of design. And for me, doing good creative on Amazon is not about doing good design, because a product can look great from an image standpoint, but it doesn't convert for the things you mentioned, because merchandising well a product and having a good image are completely different things. And it's those nuances. And as you said, there's the stack. It's going that deep, and I think you can only go that deep if you specialize like you on Amazon, because just to know all of these details, and there's so many details like this. It's the same with PPC. You have so many intricacies that you can only do well if you go deep and you have the data. And what you have, I think, that a lot of agencies don't have, is you have a lot of data. Like you haven't done just one project. You've done so many projects that you can actually back it up with data, and you know what works and what doesn't. And you probably work with very complementary niches, similar categories. So it's almost a plug and play for you at this point compared to many other people.
I think the other thing that's crucial to talk about is I think there's a lot of brands that are getting wrapped up in this like full service agency retainer world, that when you actually go deeper and ask those full service agencies, what are you actually doing on the creative side? What are you actually doing on the SEO side? And even if you're working with just a PPC agency, that's something that you should ask. Are you adjusting our SEO? Are you figuring out which words are converting best and making those tweaks inside of our listing? Yes or no? We have clients that work with really great agencies that are amazing at what they do. Some of these agencies send their clients to us. We work with them on the creative and we give it back to the agency. They upload it and they start working on the advertising campaigns from there. But beyond that, when we've talked about making seasonal changes or when we notice the new data coming in from their PPC reports or SQP, sometimes some of these agencies will tell the client like, oh no, that's not our job. We don't update that. That to me is like mind boggling. Like you're a PPC agency, you're probably getting paid a fat retainer anywhere from like 5 to 10K. That better be your job, you know? And then on the full service side, what we've seen is like agencies that say they offer everything and really they have like 1 or 2 designers in house. If that, a lot of times they outsource it to 1 or 2 designers that don't have a fully robust process around what they're doing and might not even be native to Amazon. Like they're just making Fiverr type of imagery, you know, and basic adjustments. We've had clients that come to us from, I'm not joking, some of the top agencies that you and I both know in the space. And they've told us what they were paying and that they have actually a full in-house creative team and didn't even do any custom imagery for the brand. And I was like, what is happening? Like how, you know?
I've encountered the same because we're a full service Amazon agency and we have 2 teams. We have the ads team and we have the in-house creative team. And my partner, he specializes in design. That's all he's done for a long time. So that's all he does. He understands PPC, but it's not really his thing. He understands from a theoretical standpoint what it's needed, but he really specializes in that. And I think it has to be 2 split departments. Now, they need to understand how both of them are interconnected, but they need to be 2 split departments because both are so connected. And a lot of our clients come from full service agencies, PPC agencies. A lot of our clients come from there. They've been burned. And I'm in the same boat. I've heard crazy retainers, which the problem is not the crazy retainer, is the amount of value that gets for a retainer. Because if you're charging 10 grand, but your work is bringing a lot more, fair enough. And if and if things are done properly, they're not cheap. Because everything you mentioned is not something that happens in 20 minutes. And it's not only the time you spend to do it, it's your expertise, the process, and everything you've built so far. But of course, marketing is a big part. A lot of these bigger agencies have been around, big marketing. If a product is good, it's going to perform well enough for you not to ask questions as well. This is what I always say. If I give you Coca-Cola as a brand tomorrow, it's very difficult to mess it up. Yes, if you get it, you do much better. But Coca-Cola will never know how much better you can do if you take them on. So it's a bit of a luck thing as well. But I agree 100% with you. But I do think design is going to become more and more important. And I already see the shift. Because 4 or 5 years ago, it was only PPC. Creative and listings wasn't even a topic. Now it's becoming more and more of a topic. What made you do design only? Because most agencies do PPC or they do a split. What made you do just design?
I'm a creative at heart, you know, and when we first started, I started out as a full service agency and I realized that most of the agencies out there weren't doing the customers justice. They were cutting the creative short, not doing a great job. When I looked at the landscape, the creative agencies that are out there are doing very low quality work and taking on hundreds, if not thousands of clients per year and taking everybody that will give them money. And so we don't do that. We take very few clients. We take about 10 to 15 a month max. That's it. And they're mostly 7, 8, 9-figure brands that really want to perform their best on Amazon. And so like, for example, we recently worked with Samsonite. And you would think Samsonite has it all figured out. I mean, they have a massive e-commerce team. It's one of those brands, like how could you mess it up? You know, like to your point, like here's the thing with that one. They have only a couple people that have the bandwidth on their team that are fully focused on Amazon growth. Everyone else is focused on their D2C site or retailers or other things, right? So it's like the stepchild in the relationship, right? So we are trying to make the Amazon team members heroes, and we are championing them. We are like trying to show them what is possible if we do things right. And one of the things that I'm most proud about is that we recently did like a new product launch for them, and they said it was the best product launch that they've ever had on Amazon. And it was the first time that they really went all in on design and made sure that everything was dialed in before the launch, rather than just taking images, copy paste, you know, from whatever other assets they were developing for the launch and trying to make it work. They took an Amazon first approach and did it extremely well. And the results showed that, you know? So I think to your point, more and more brands are waking up to this and realizing that this has to be happening from the jump. Like they have to be focused on on not just traffic, but also conversion. They go together. Traffic is advertising, conversion is design and SEO. If you have a missing part of the equation, it's not going to work.
That is a major point. So, how many projects you reckon you've done so far?
Thousands. Thousands. I mean, we do about 150 brands per year.
And that's by choice, which is
Yeah, so about, over 500 brands, but we've done over, tens of thousands of products probably.
a lot of these projects are big projects, I imagine, because 10 to 15 brands is a lot. Doing just one listing A to Z, everything properly, it is a lot of work. Now imagine a full catalog. It's an immense amount of work.
Yeah, we're typically working on a catalog. A catalog can be 3 SKUs, it can be 300, it can be 3,000. And that's the fun part, because they're very different strategies for the different size catalog. And by the way, like this is the first year that we're actually taking on catalogs that have hundreds and thousands of SKUs. And it's because of AI. Like now we have the ability to do things at scale that we could never do before. We could never figure out manually with actual human designers sitting there doing each design custom the way that we do. Thinking through thousands of SKUs was nearly impossible. Even if you weren't doing custom on every single SKU, even if you were replicating, the amount of time that you have to invest and resources to do that manually is cost prohibitive for most brands. So to do it well.
How big is your team at the moment?
We have about 10. We always stay around about 10.
I like that. I always say smaller team of killers is always better than a massive team of average players.
I say
Because
tiny but mighty.
no, I agree because especially now with AI, it's even a bigger point because you can make things faster, not necessarily better, but as you said, you can do before like you couldn't do that amount of products physically unless you have like a town worth of people working for you.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't be scalable from a labor perspective for a lot of these brands. But now with what you're saying with AI, yes, and I do believe AI has changed design, but I think AI has worsened design for a lot of these brands because now you see all these cookie cutter same AI images. And that's kind of what it used to be of the bad images for Amazon. And that's what you see now on Amazon, the same type of image, AI driven.
You get it. That's exactly what I've been saying. Like we're going to see, this is just the beginning. We're going to see a slew of like, it is going to help the small guys who are getting started, like level up their content quicker. Like the guys who like, we're going back and forth with Fiverr designers and trying to figure that stuff out. Like they're all going to they're going to level up their designs from like the very basic levels. But those beginner type sellers are all going to have the same commoditized type of listings, and you're going to know what they look like. And there's something about it. It's like when people first started using renders on Amazon, you saw listings that were all done with renders, and as a consumer, there's just something off with it. Like you lose trust in the product because it doesn't look real. Like something's off. I think the same thing's going to happen because if you do AI really well and you mix it with real photography, the consumer can't tell the difference and it feels really authentic to the brand. But if you don't do it well, it's very easy to tell that it wasn't done well, and it's a deterrent. It immediately repels people from the listing.
100%. Like you cannot be premium in doing that. That's when you say premium, it has to be premium images. Daniela, I know you have to go. Thank you very, very much for coming here. I think it's very beneficial for anyone that's selling on Amazon just to kind of have their mind shift of let's forget about PPC for a second. Let's see it from a design and how actually the listing looks and SEO, of course. So thank you very much for coming over. You're very active on LinkedIn, so most people can see you on LinkedIn. I think you're Daniela Bolzman on LinkedIn as well, and Mindful Goods, your website, of course.
Yes, mindfulgoods.co. Come and find us.
Thank you very much for coming over. And it's very, very valuable stuff. I think people will love it.
Thanks for having me.